And I was installed last October 27, 2014. At nung dumating po ako a few months after, yun, meron akong tinatawag na decision to approve. It's about the lot of the Archdiocese. So, yun po. Kaya isa sa aking in-address yun because the decision was given by Rome and I have to address it and implement it. So para po magkakaintindihan tayo, I'll be presenting to you the civil year time so that we become clear about the facts and avoiding misinterpretations and misunderstanding with the facts. And we will be able to understand why decisions and actions were undertaken. Okay po ba yan? So on October 31, 1958, a contract of lease was entered into between the then Diocese of San Fernando, Pampanga as the lessor and the Sacred Heart Mission Seminary Incorporated as lessee. The Archdiocese allowed the lease for a measly sum of 1 peso for 99 years. Some notes. Sacred Heart Mission Seminary Incorporated is a corporation of the MSC Fathers in whose favor the Archdiocese of San Fernando leased the 3-hectare lot here in Angeles City. The corporate purpose of Sacred Heart Mission Seminary Incorporated, as specifically stated in their articles of incorporation, is to educate young men to the priesthood. The Archdiocese leased the 3-hectare lot in Angeles City to the Sacred Heart Mission Seminary Incorporated with the understanding that the MSC Fathers will remain true to its corporate mission to educate young men to the priesthood. In the 1960s, the MSC Fathers put up another separate legal entity and registered it as Sacred Heart Mission Seminary of Pampanga Incorporated. In 1978, the Sacred Heart Mission Seminary of Pampanga changed its name to Chevalier School Incorporated. On January 29, 1988, Chevalier School Incorporated amended its corporate papers by changing its purpose, which is to educate young boys and girls in elementary and high school. The first quarter of 2010, the Archdiocese maintained a humble view that the present occupant of the leased premises is no longer the Sacred Heart Mission Seminary Incorporated, the original lessee, but another corporation, the Chevalier School Incorporated. And because under the corporation code, each corporation has a separate and distinct legal personality, the contract of lease is deemed terminated for breach of one basic provision. The occupant is no longer the lessee. In short, considering that the Archdiocese's lessee is Sacred Heart Mission Seminary Incorporated, while the present occupant of the premises is another legal entity by the name of Chevalier School Incorporated, it is the Archdiocese's position that the entity presently occupying the premises is no longer the lessee. It is the Sacred Heart Mission Seminary Incorporated that the Archdiocese inked a contract with. The Archdiocese had wanted to ink a new contract with MSC Fathers, and even went to the extent of exerting efforts to amicably talk to their provincial about the matter. But this did not yield any fruitful result. Sadly, Chevalier School even insisted that it did not violate the terms of the lease contract because the leased property and the buildings are still being used for educational purposes in accordance with the Roman Catholic teachings and beliefs. On June 28, 2010, the Archdiocese of San Fernando, Pampanga, Philippines, represented by my predecessor, the Roman Catholic Archbishop, Most Reverend Paciano D. Aniceto, formally lodged a complaint before the Roman Rota instead of in regular courts against the missionaries of the Sacred Heart, or MSC, headed by Father Tito Maratas, MNC, the Provincial Superior of the Missionaries of the Sacred Heart, then, in accordance with Canon 1405, number 3, and Canon 1444, number 2. Some notes. Number 1. The corporate purpose of the original lessee, that is the Sacred Heart Mission Seminary Incorporated, as stated in its articles of incorporation, was to educate young men to the priesthood. This is no longer the purpose of the present occupant, Xavier School Incorporated. Number 2, it is complained before the Roman Rota. The Archdiocese stated, perhaps this complaint would not even be necessary if only the MSC fathers had kept the use of the land for seminary purposes. Otherwise, the Archdiocese may as well retrieve the property and use it as an extension of its diocesan major seminary, which happens to be presently located in a flood-prone area. On February 27, 2015, after almost 5 years, a decision was rendered by the Roman Rota in favor of the Archdiocese, basically stating that the 1958 contract of lease between the Archdiocese and the Sacred Heart Mission Seminary Incorporated is deemed nullified. On January 13, 2016, a meeting was held among the representatives of the Xavier School, represented by the following: Father Jim Pejo, MSc Provincial; Father Edwin Borlasa, MSc; Father James Espuerta, MSc; Father R.J. Tabang, MSc. On the part of the Archdiocese, the following were present: myself, Monsignor Eduardo Pangan, Father Francis Dizan, Father Victor Dictao, Father Dino Albert Pineda, and Attorney Victor Roque. Some notes. The following points were discussed in regard to the renewal of the lease of contract of the Xavier School. New contract of lease for 25 years, 100,000 a month as rent. Ministry of MSc and the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of San Fernando. Additional stipulation: interest of the parents and students should be considered. Use of vacant land in front of the school with space for movements of vehicles entering and exiting the school. In the event of turnover, Xavier will be compensated for the buildings and improvements. The following items were acknowledged by MSc fathers during the said discussion: the receipt of the decision of the Roman Rota. The 1958 contract of lease is declared null and void, and property should be turned over to the Archdiocese. The MSc fathers intend to continue their school ministry and charism. The following resolutions were arrived at. The MSc will give a complete proposal for lease in writing on or before January 18, 2016. The Board of Church Temporalities of the Archdiocese shall discuss the proposal of the MSc fathers. On March 20, 2016, the MSc fathers wrote a letter to the Archdiocese admitting that they serve at the pleasure of the Archdiocese, under whose jurisdiction the MSc fathers and Xavier School operate. On May 20, 2016, the Archdiocese replied, setting the points that both parties have agreed upon so far, namely, the new lease contract to be executed shall specify that Xavier School shall use the leased premises only for educational purposes. The leased premises should be clearly delineated to specifically demarcate and set the boundaries of the area to be leased to Chevalier School. Number 3, Chevalier School will not pre-terminate the new lease contract it will enter into, in terms of which still needs to be mutually agreed upon by the parties. Number 4, Chevalier School, although presently not subject to income tax and real property tax, binds itself to shoulder such taxes if required by the government. The open space or frontage will not form part of the leased premises. And lastly, the whole lot will be subdivided so that a separate land title pertaining to the area to be leased to Chevalier School will be issued. On July 27, 2016, the MSC Fathers sent a revised proposal to lease containing the following among other things. Number 1, lease term, 15-year lease contract. Number 2, reimbursement of improvements. The Archdiocese should reimburse Chevalier School the value of the buildings and structures. On August 2016, the Archdiocese started negotiating with Jollibee Foods Corporation for the lease of the lot fronting Chevalier School. On December 16, 2016, the Archdiocese sent to the MSC Fathers the final decision in regard to MSC's request to execute a new lease contract for Chevalier School. The only issue left for discussion were the following. Lease term, maximum period of 10 years to lease the subject premises, which 10-year period shall be counted from January 1, 2016. Frontage. The open space frontage will not form part of the leased premises. Hence, the Archdiocese will exercise its ownership rights, including the right to define the use of frontage with an assurance to MSC Fathers that the use of the frontage will not run counter to the beliefs, doctrines, and policies of the Catholic Church. Number 3, reimbursement of improvements. The Archdiocese will willingly abide by the decision of the Roma Rota in reimbursing the MSC Fathers the net appreciable value of the buildings and structures presently standing. The following points were deemed resolved. Number 1, the new lease contract to be executed shall specify that Chevalier School shall use the leased premises only for educational purposes. Number 2, the leased premises should be clearly delineated to specifically demarcate and set the boundaries of the area to be leased to Chevalier School. Number 3, Chevalier School will not pre-terminate the new lease contract it will enter into, the terms of which still needs to be mutually agreed upon by the parties. Number 4, Chevalier School, although presently not subject to income tax and real property tax, binds itself to shoulder such taxes if required by the government. Number 5, the open space or frontage will not form part of the leased premises. Number 6, the whole lot will be subdivided so that a separate title pertaining to the area to be leased to Chevalier School will be issued. Number 7, monthly rental 200,000 pesos per month without any escalation for 10 years.
200.
Improvements in structures.
From 100.
Absolutely no new buildings or structures shall be erected during the 10-year lease term. A communication on this aspect will be furnished to the Department of Education of the local government of
Rental
Angeles
monthly
City.
lang.
At number
Dapat
9,
yung nire-rent
advance
mo, yes.
rental and security deposit. 2-month security deposit of 400,000 and a 2-month advance rental of 400,000 payable upon execution of the new lease of contract. Number 10, allocation for ingress and egress. The Archdiocese believes that the area currently used by Civilier School as ingress and egress of people and vehicles is sufficient. No expansion should be allowed. Number 11, inventory of property. The MSC Father shall provide the Archdiocese with a list of property of Civilier School, which the Archdiocese will validate with the audited financial statement of Civilier School that the latter submitted to BIR and SEC. The inventory of property agreed upon by the parties shall form an integral part of the lease contract and shall be attached as Annex A. Number 12, pre-termination clause. If Civilier School vacates the leased premises before the end of the 10-year lease term, Civilier School must serve written notice to the Archdiocese at least 1 year in advance, provided, however, that the Civilier School shall continue to be liable to the payment of the rent in arrears, if any. The Archdiocese expressed hopes that the new contract of lease will be signed on or before the end of 2016. On February 28, 2017, a meeting was held between the Archdiocese and the MSC Fathers. The following were resolved. Engage, number 1, engage the services of an independent licensed appraiser mutually agreed upon by the MSC Fathers and the Archdiocese. At the end of the nine years, the independent appraiser will assess the value. Number 3, email draft contract of lease to MSC Fathers on March 1, 2017, care of Father Buki. Then number 4, tentative setting for signing of the contract of lease, March 21, 2017, Tuesday, 3 p.m. On March 22, 2017, Father Leonardo Cabrera, MSC, the new Provincial Superior, wrote a letter to me that the Civilier School employees and the Civilier School PTA Foundation filed a complaint against Civilier School and the MSC Fathers, seeking to restrain the MSC Fathers from signing a new contract of lease with the Archdiocese. On March 24, 2017, Archbishop myself wrote a letter addressed to Father Leonardo Cabrera, MSC, asking for a copy of the answer of the MSC Fathers on the complaint, as well as the pieces of evidence that were presented during the hearing of the TRO and the writ of preliminary injunction. Up to now, the MSC Fathers have not complied with the request, my request. On February 27, 2017, the RTC Branch 58 of Angeles City issued a writ of preliminary injunction enjoining the MSC Fathers from signing a new contract of lease with the Archdiocese. As a consequence, the potential lessee of the Archdiocese, including Jollibee, has deferred action and backed out on their intent to lease because of the case filed by the Civilier School employees and Civilier School PTA Foundation against the MSC Fathers. From May 17 to September 22, 2017, various exchanges of letters and meetings were undertaken between and by the Archbishop and Father Cabrera on the following. Request for a copy of the answer of MSC to the petition before the RTC Branch 58 of Angeles City. Request for a copy of the transcript of stenographic notes and all relevant records on the case. Request for an inventory of buildings and improvements of Civilier School to find amicable implementation and execution of the Roman Rota decision. Items 1 to 3 were not provided to the Archbishop until now. On February 25, 2018, Father Cabrera wrote a letter to me. This is an important letter and it has 3 parts. And this is the very context why we are here, why we are holding this dialogue, while we are doing due diligence audit in the school. It's based on this letter. So let me read to you the first part and then give some clarifications. Part 1 of the letter. Your Excellency, greetings of peace. With my plea to the Apostolic Nuncio of the Philippines, Most Reverend Gabriele Giordano Cacha, to help mediate in the case of Xavier School in Angeles City, Pampanga, and by listening to his suggestions on the possible amicable settlement of the case, we, the Philippine Province of the Missionaries of the Sacred Heart, recognize the following. Number 1, the MSC abides by the decision of the Roman Rota on the original 1958 contract between the Archdiocese of San Fernando and the MSC. The civil case filed by the Xavier School, that is the parent teacher of CS and the CS Employees Incorporated, enjoining MSC from entering or executing a new contract with the Archdiocese of San Fernando, has so far resulted to a temporary restraining order. The TRO has prevented MSC from signing a new contract pending the decision of the Civil Court. After reading part 1, what do these 2 items mean? First, on item 1, the MSC accepts that as per Roman Rota decision, the original contract between the Archdiocese and the MSC is nullified and will abide by the decision. That is, the Archdiocese shall reclaim the lot on which Xavier School stands. And the second item, since the original lease of contract has been declared null and void, the Archbishop has now the sole prerogative to determine on how and when to implement the Roman Rota decision. He is obliged to implement the Roman Rota decision because this is the decision of Rome. Okay? And that's my responsibility. So, he is obliged to implement the Roman Rota decision and therefore recover the lot that belongs to the Archdiocese of San Fernando. The MSC has to abide by the decision of the Archbishop. The Archbishop can assign any MOA or contract with the MSC because of the TRO. Like the MOA for 10 years of lease that was supposed to be signed on March 21, 2017. That is no longer possible. So we continue. Let me continue to part 2 of the said letter. We therefore make this offer to the Archdiocese of San Fernando for the good of the school community in Xavier School. Number 1, the MSC offers the possibility for the Archdiocese of San Fernando to take over the administration of Xavier School after a reasonable and agreed time of preparation and transition for the turnover. In the event that the administration of Xavier School is turned over to the Archdiocese of San Fernando, the Archdiocese is asked to commit to keep the school running, or at least until the end of the term of the original contract, that is until 2057. This is the clamor of the CS school community that the term of number of years of the original contract be fulfilled. Furthermore, in the event of a turnover, the MSC asks to be compensated according to the fair market value of the buildings and improvements in the site of the said property. After clarification on that in quotation marks, take over the administration of civil year school means, I was made to believe that the MSC is selling ownership of the civil year school to the Archdiocese. And of course, the money will be given and will go to the MSC. Number 2 proposal. The other option that the MSC offers is to exchange a land equivalent to the value of the said land owned by the Archdiocese of San Fernando. The front side of the property where civil year school stands will not be included in the said exchange. Of course, the Archdiocese will not take this option too. Number 3 option, proposal. The other possibility is for MSC to purchase the land where civil year school now stands. The front side of the property where civil year school stands will not be included in the purchase. The MSC is not sure if the congregation can afford to buy immediately the property, but we will try our best to find ways and means to raise money if in case the Archdiocese of San Fernando agrees with this offer. Again, the Archdiocese will not sell the lot on which civil year school stands. So we say no to option 3. Part 3 of the letter. Your Excellency, I pray and hope that this unfortunate case of civil year school that has strained the relationship of the Archdiocese of San Fernando and the MSC be resolved for the good of the Church. Again, I wish to apologize for whatever hurt Your Excellencies and the Archdiocese have experienced due to this case. I also pray and hope that whatever decisions that will be made with regard to this property, to the property where civil year school stands, we take into account the good of the school community that has existed there for more than 50 years. Your Excellency, I pray and hope that the two of us could dialogue on this matter. The Papal Nuncio has graciously expressed his willingness to be present in this said dialogue. Respectfully yours, in the heart of Jesus, Father Leonardo M. Cabrera, MSc, Provincial Superior, MSc, Philippine Province. With this letter of Father Cabrera, and after consulting with the Archdiocesan Board of Church Temporalities, financial and legal advisors, and other resource persons, the Archdiocese, myself, decided to form an audit team to perform a due diligence audit and help me in making a decision on option 1, whether to purchase civil year school or not. That is why our coming to this place, karoon po tayo ng dialogue para matulungan ako before I will discuss option 1 with the MSC fathers. Andito kami. On July 26, 2018, that was our first visit, myself and the audit team. After an initial conversation of the Archbishop's audit team with the Rector, the Finance Officer, the HR and Physical Plant Officer, the OIC of the grade school, OIC for high school, of civil year school, the following points among others were agreed upon. The MSC initiated the takeover of CS civil year school by the Archdiocese as one option. They were the ones who offered it to us. Then due diligence audit is being conducted to help me in the decision-making process, especially during the discussion on option A with the MSC fathers. As part of the decision-making process, the Archdiocese will enter into the dialogue with the stakeholders of civil year school, like what we are doing now. And then, the following concerns were also raised during the conversation. What is the other option at the end of 2018 to 19, a possibility for civil year school to relocate, siguro. It's a possibility. Possibility lang po yun. Wala naman decisions because I have not entered yet into a discussion with the MSC fathers. What will happen to the students? Of course, the school belongs to the MSC. The land belongs to us. So sino yung may concern sa school? MSC, di ba? That's why, sinasabi namin, that is MSC's decision. Because what we own is the land. We do not own the school. Okay? Then, are the civil year school employees being met by the MSCs? Yes, they were presented the three options. Okay. After the conversation with the CS officers, the audit team examined some documents and decided to make another visit and specify the documents it wants to see. Thus, we are now in the second visit, myself, together with the audit team. So now, we are here today for the second visit. The team will be divided into three groups and will accomplish their tasks separately and simultaneously. The first group, the finance audit group. What's the objective? To establish the fiscal health of civil year school and assess the accuracy of the financial statements and equity. The personnel audit group. So, to evaluate the employees' concern regarding their compensation. The two groups are already there. No matter. Okay. And of course, dialogue with the civil year stakeholders group. Of course, one of our objectives to determine the possible reasonable price of the corporation of civil year. This will be done later on during our dialogue with the MSC fathers. And to assess the readiness and willingness of stakeholders to stay at civil year school or cooperate with a possible new owner and administrator of this civil year school, namely their diocese. That's why we are conducting this, this dialogue. Dito rin makikita namin how acceptable is this proposal. And this is one of the reasons why we are having this dialogue. In conclusion, I stand here before you as an Archbishop of the Archdiocese, and of course, there was a decision from Rome. And as an Archbishop, as a Bishop, I have to implement that. I was sent 2 letters from Rome.